This episode of HBCU Pulse Radio is sponsored by Cricket Wireless. What's going on, everybody? This is Randall, the founder of HBCU Pulse and the host of HBCU Pulse Radio, in the building for another special edition of the show on today, where we're switching it up. We some HBCU folks in here. We know we sitting in HBCUs, but HBCUs, we know about what's going on with music, culture, pop culture, all the different stuff, because we set the culture. So we're going to talk about the culture today. We're going to talk about Kendrick Lamar performing at Super Bowl 59, and also the conversations around it. Should Lil Wayne perform? Who should be performing? All these different things, plus the Kendrick Lamar and Drake beef. Who really won? We're going to talk about it. I got MC in the building, Bowie State University, HBCU Pulse Radio contributor. How you doing today, MC?
Randall, man, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling blessed.
We got a lot to discuss, a lot to talk about. So Kendrick Lamar has been selected to perform at Super Bowl 59. This is his second time at the Super Bowl because he performed in 2022 at Super Bowl 57 with Dr. Dre, Mary J. Blige, 50 Cent, and Eminem, and he turned up. Like, he went crazy when he performed Humble in L.A. Very decorated career. So first and foremost, before we get to the drama, before we get to all the conversations, I gotta know, because I see you on the screen, you clapping. This is how you excited. So tell me how you feel about Kendrick being picked to perform.
So I'm a little biased because growing up, Kendrick inspired me to rap. Like, I've always been, Kendrick's my number one rapper. But even just following like the year he's had, I know part of the year he's had has been the beef, but even you just remove that, the success of Not Like Us and just how much he has been just killing it on top of the game and really solidifying himself in, this whole big three conversation that we got. Yeah, let's go ahead and just dead that now. Now Cole is off to who knows what, walking barefoot in North Carolina on the beach somewhere. Drake is somewhere talking about round two when round two didn't happen. Like, it's clearly the industry has crowned Kendrick. Because they just love Kendrick, because they are having whatever feelings towards Drake. Like, Kendrick is clearly the one that is being looked upon as like the golden child now here in hip hop. So for me, he's just had a heck of a year, a heck of a battle, a heck of just an entire run. And I know for sure an album is coming at some point, whether it's dropping right before Super Bowl, it drops directly after, like how Usher did with his album. At some point, the album's coming. So all this is also still technically a rollout. So when you think about that and how all of it is just, everything just connects from one thing to the next to the next. It's just like, I know in first person shooter, it was something about big as the Super Bowl, and now look, Kendrick is, you know what I mean? Like, Kendrick is just the person where it's the boogeyman, man. Don't play with the boogeyman. Don't play with the boogeyman.
Okay, so let me ask you this. So the boogeyman thing, because I'm a huge Kendrick Lamar fan as well. Like, I became a fan of Kendrick when I heard The Recipe. That was the first song I heard where I really heard Kendrick. I'm from the South, you know what I'm saying? So like when I heard The Recipe, I'm like, oh, who is this guy? And like, he was on the hook. He had the first verse. Then I got more into Kendrick. And then Don't Kill My Vibe came out. I was in high school, and just the whole entire like situation on that song, the beat, how he was rapping, even the remix for Jay-Z, that like the Kobe Jordan thing going on. Like that's when I really truly became a fan of Kendrick. He had Problems, he had Poetic Justice, he had Swimming Pools. Like Kendrick is not like my favorite rapper. Like, I skewed more towards Big Crit in an XXL freshman, situation. Me being Southern, because Big Crit and Kendrick were on that cover together. But Kendrick always got got rotation for me. But I gotta ask you this about the boogeyman situation, because before you came on, I was watching the video where they were breaking down Kendrick Lamar's like Super Bowl announcement, where like he's on the football field, American flag in the background. He has the footballs that are being thrown, and they're just naming out, he's on the 50-yard line. That's for referencing Drake saying, "Drop and give me 50." And he has this general thing because he said in the Hart Park, Drake said in Hart Park 6, he's a war general seasoned in preparation. Do you really think that Kendrick is this methodical, that he's scripting out Super Bowl announcements outside of saying no round twos?
I think that And we saw during the battle where Kendrick doesn't let anything go uncalculated, go unnoticed. Like during the battle, he was quiet. Like Drake and OVO fans are out there tweeting, sending subs or whatever. All he's doing is posting links to whatever diss song he dropped, and that was it. You don't hear nothing else. It went this, and then Super Bowl announcement. Like that's all he is. So I think with him, even if he doesn't necessarily mean it in a way we may interpret it as, he understands that it's going to be open to interpretation. And so that enough is for him. I think some of the things is intentional with him, but some of the other things is like, I know I'm doing it for this reason, but I can also understand some folks are probably going to think this. And all in all, it's going to leave us talking about it like how we are now. It's going to leave us just adding more fuel to the fire and essentially, again, a rollout, bringing more press, more publicity around it. So I think, again, this is the boogeyman. This is somebody that I seen somebody say Kendrick is the kind of person that he disappears once the bus passes. Like that's he's that kind of guy. He's clearly not a person to play with. I knew this from I think his 2016 BT Cypher. It's probably my favorite. I hate y'all. I do anything to replace y'all. Shout like I knew from then he was that kind of guy, but I think over this last year, this is only proven that Kendrick is somebody when he pops out. Sometimes you gotta pop out and show him. You feel me? He gonna pop out and let you know I'm K-Dot. Stop playing with me.
Listen, that's true, but the only thing, though, let me just say the only thing about
you sound like a Drake fan, man.
I'm not. I am a fan of Drake, but I am on Kendrick Lamar's side. Okay, listen, totally. Okay. But I gotta say that I think that Kendrick Lamar fans that are like, hey, Kendrick's my favorite rapper. They be going too far in adding in these Easter eggs because they'll be like, well, he wore white in the video because Drake's mom is white, like something like you know, like something like that. Well, it's the symbolism talking. He wore a white shirt and black pants to talk about how Drake is at war with himself. Like it's like stuff like that. I like everything that Kendrick does. Well, you see, Kendrick did this on Wednesday because Drake's album comes out on Thursday. Like, I don't believe that every single thing,
possibly no. But I think that's just the beauty of art, right? Is the interpretation that we as the consumers, as the fans, we get to play. It's like when if you ask a comic book fan and we watch a Marvel film or something, and with something that may be like to the casual viewer, maybe nothing, but there are certain things in the background or in a certain scene where it's like, this references this, and this is why it's connected. And later on, we'll see like this whole thing has just been like watching a Marvel movie. You feel me? And it's just everything connects. Again, I don't necessarily know whether or not, or probably believe that every single little thing means something, but I'm also not going to deny that because again, Kendrick is methodical, he's calculated, and again, if he doesn't maybe think it himself, he knows they probably gonna think this though, which is why it's even better that I say this or I do this because I have one meaning, but I know it has several other meanings to somebody else.
That's fair. I'll give it that, but I just need for not just Kendrick Lamar fans, I think more so hip hop fans. Sometimes things are just very direct. It's not this subliminal thing that's a callback to Alice Walker or like to Toni Morrison or Malcolm X. Sometimes he's just wearing a white shirt.
He even said, I forgot what was the bar, and some things and that ain't even gotta be deep, I guess. Like
you
some things is like that. It's not really that deep. It's just I don't like you, just to be honest.
I honestly think sometimes that is what it is. But speaking of Euphoria, because you referenced Euphoria, you see, we hip hop fans. I knew exactly what you was. We talk about Euphoria. So listen, the diss and then the beef in general started really back in like 2013 when Kendrick did Control, which that's like a major throwback. That's been 11 years ago, literally to this point, 11 years ago, where it wasn't a diss. It was just sort of a competitive thing. You know, folks responded. Like Big Crit got mentioned. I was so proud. I'm like, what? Big Crit? Because that was early in the days when I'm like, I'm my favorite rapper, Big Crit. And people are like, who? But now you say Big Crit, and they're like, oh, I know Big Crit. So like Big Crit responded. with Mount Olympus. He the only one that really did a full song. He did it in May. Kendrick did it in August. But like Drake had this contentious relationship with Kendrick, it appeared, after they did Poetic Justice, and it seems like they haven't really seen eye to eye for years. So of course we know first person shooter, I guess allegedly or reportedly, Kendrick Lamar was supposed to be on that song. It's like a show of unity. Kendrick wasn't on that song. They still did the verse, J. Cole and Drake. It was on For All the Dogs, right? So you have Kendrick that comes back with his verse on Like That, which was a surprise because Kendrick was not listed in the album. It was a surprise that popped up. I'm on Twitter that night and they said, Kendrick this Drake. I'm like, Kendrick this Drake, where? I was seeing the tweets. I'm like, what he did? I don't see no song. I'm like, oh, it's on Future's album. And he went crazy. So then we wait a little bit, and then we hear the leak for Push-Ups where Drake disses Kendrick Lamar and also 50 million people. I think he dissed me at this point. He dissed so many people. I think he had a bar for me at this point. Like he dissed you and I. Like, you know what I'm saying? I gotta let it work. So then he does the tailor-made with the AI, all right, and then we get Euphoria, which I thought was a work of genius. The beat switches starting off sort of like on the mellow type of vibe, and all the lyrics he got in his pocket at the end. Then he does 616 in LA saying, Drake, don't do it. And then Drake does Family Matters. It comes out. He has the beat switches. He has the video. He thought he won. But then Kendrick Lamar came out with Meet the Gram, surgical precision, just straight up got at him. And then he said, back to back, I like that record. Kendrick dropped Not Like Us, the hit of the summer, probably the hit of the year. And then Drake sounded like he was admitting defeat on the Heart Part 6, just a lion, saying, oh, we fed you the information. No, you didn't, Drake. Yeah, all this difference, just getting the lyrics mixed up about from Miss Morale and the Big Steppers, all these different things. And that's a quick summation of what happened.
Basically,
the Kendrick beef. This is a quick summation.
Basically, yeah, I think that the beef, I think for sure has probably been the greatest hip hop battle we've had in quite some time, right? Especially of our modern era. I think the closest one since that was probably Drake and Meek, in terms of just how big it was. I personally prefer the Drake and Pusha, just because Pusha's a better lyricist, no offense, than Meek to me.
Yeah.
And Pusha to me won that one, but because of Pusha's stature, compared to Drake's stature, the people, they wouldn't give him that. You know what I mean? And I don't think any of this necessarily like ends Drake's career, because Drake is too much of a megastar at that point. But I think since then, it definitely has shined some light on Drake to where it's like, we weren't looking at certain things a certain way until this. Some people might have already, like certain allegations or things that were said were already like someone put in the atmosphere, but it just shined an even brighter light on it to where it's like, even those who weren't paying attention now, it's like, hey, y'all, look at this right here. It's like, oh, but I just also really enjoy it was back-to-back music. Like, I know in older days of hip-hop, somebody might put out a freestyle and then a person might not respond until their album comes out. So, like, I'll understand that there can be some times where you got to wait it out, play the long game to really invest in the beef. But this stuff was in the span of, like, a week, 2 weeks, for real. So, I'm just glad I got to witness it, and my favorite rapper came out on top of it. I'm pleased. I'm pleased.
Cricket with this speedy 5G network reminds you HBCUs are all about networking, and there's no better way to network than on Cricket Wireless. Maybe that's why people who come to Cricket stay with Cricket. Cricket 5G requires compatible devices and is not available everywhere. Discount varies per line, additional fees, usage, and restrictions apply. See cricketwireless.com for details. So let me say this, and I'll go on a limb. This is a very HBCU Student Center-esque conversation right here. And this is a very HBCU Student Center-esque statement I'm about to say. You said that it was one of the best beefs probably of this current generation, and you said you compared it to Drake and Meek Mill, right? And then you said Drake and Pusha T. I might go as far as to say this might be the best hip-hop beef of all time. I might go that far. Now here's the thing. I think it's more comparable to Jay-Z and Nas, because the reason why I say it's more comparable is because you have Drake that literally is at the pinnacle of music. He's one of the most popular musical artists, of course, in America, but also the world. Then you have Kendrick, who is so respected by the culture. Like people are trying to play, like, oh well, Kendrick don't have anything out. He's a slouch. Like he's not, and he's a Pulitzer Prize winner, the Black Panther soundtrack, performed at Super Bowl, all these different Grammys. So this is like two titans. Like this is like LeBron and Steph. This is like we never got LeBron versus Kobe. This is Tom Brady versus Patrick Mahomes in a way, because they're not older than each other like that. But like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's like these are two heavyweights, two folks that we've been wanting to see mixed up. It's similar to sort of a Jay-Z and Nas, except it's in a social media era where things are even more inflamed, and hip-hop probably is even more popular up to this point because of social media and because of streaming services, because of radio and all these different media outlets that are pushing out the culture and are pushing out hip-hop. So I honestly just think, based on the veracity of what was said, I think the reactions, I think the way the fans have gotten involved, and the fact that they've not released a diss towards each other legitimately in 4 months, because the last diss was in May, like the last direct diss was the Heart Part 6. It's still going on, and then the Super Bowl performance thing. It's hard not to say and not to argue. I know there's other like Ice Cube versus NWA, like you got all these other different things. But it's hard for me not to make the argument this is the best beef, hip-hop beef ever.
I think it definitely is there, in terms of in the conversation. I'm not mad at, say, someone who is of an older generation and who is actually alive and present and very much outside to experience the Jay and the Nas, or the Kiss and Beans, or the 50. And I mean, like, if you were outside for then, because music, the great thing about music is that stuff that's considered classics, it makes you remember the time that you were in. And so I think for a lot of us, especially with the Not Like Us record being the biggest record that came out of this whole beef, it puts us in a time capsule. So whenever that song plays, no matter what, you hear the what's on the beat, yo, deep, like it puts you back in a time of just you with your folks, you chilling, you just there. So I think this whole beef is really like a testament to icons, titans, legends, like you said, just going at it. So I'm never mad at somebody. I know for me personally, it's up there because I was able to really take in the music. Like the Jay and Nas, I wasn't really here for that, but this one I was able to take in the music, understand. I'm old enough and competent to realize what's going on. So for me personally, yeah, it's definitely my favorite hip hop battle ever.
So let's talk about the Not Like Us situation. So
okay,
a lot of people, right? So Kendrick Lamar is a great artist in his own right, and I think even Drake fans that don't just lack objectivity, they'll be like, yeah, Kendrick has great albums. He's a great artist. He has the stature in the game. But a huge argument for Kendrick being involved is that the only reason why he's involved is because of Not Like Us, right? It's all like if the Drake beef never happened, it's not Kendrick that gets asked to perform. My answer to that, and I want to get your opinion on it before we move on, is that did Not Like Us and the Drake beef help? Yes, I do think that played a huge factor into why Kendrick Lamar was chosen. But do I think as an artist with the body of work, especially with him performing in 2022, do I think he would have been picked off the merit of his work without Like That, without Not Like Us, without all these different songs? I think he would. I think as a Grammy-winning artist, I think he has songs that have crossed over. He has those energetic songs. He has the heartfelt songs. He's a Pulitzer Prize winner. I think that without all of this, if Kendrick Lamar gets selected, the only thing people will say is, where's his album? Where's his project? That's the only thing, because he hasn't dropped since Miss Morale and the Big Steppers. But just saying, hey, I'm like Kendrick is performing, even if it's without the Drake beef, I don't think anybody's like, why is Kendrick? Who is Kendrick Lamar? People are like, oh, this is gonna be fire. But yes, I do think Not Like Us did play a part in it. But what do you think?
I think that, well, one, the people who run the Super Bowl in terms of picking who they wanted to be on that stage, they are not just picking anybody, right? The list of people to even perform there is a very, very small list. It not only matters about the amount of hits you have, but your image, your presentation, the kind of shows that you are giving, because you can't just put somebody up there that's just going to stand up there and just rap or sing. Like, you have to give for 13 minutes an entire fiasco. basically an entire production to where you captivate people the entire time. I'm not putting somebody up there that just stands up there and they just have fireworks or dances, but it's still boring. Like, you have to be able to captivate the entire time. You have to have the energy to be able to do that. And especially with the Amazon Prime show from Kendrick, we saw him rapping Euphoria, the whole thing, 7-8 minutes, no backing track, no water, nothing. It's very, very rare people that can do that with their performances. So I think Kendrick was already on that list because of what he has done, right? So whether or not it may not necessarily have been this year, even though, again, that list is already small, so it probably could have been already. He was going to be picked regardless, in my opinion. But I think especially with this last year, Not Like Us being what it is, and just how, again, hip-hop seems to now really be siding on his favor and really giving him the crown. Like, a lot of folks already feel like he was the king of hip-hop just because we resonate with his stance in terms of he's a product of the culture. He's somebody who really embodies hip-hop. The legends in hip-hop all love and respect what Kendrick does. So he was already a lot of people's king, their golden boy. This whole past year kind of just solidified that, and everything just makes sense now. The Super Bowl, I believe February is also Grammy season. So I know for sure there's something going to happen there. Like, all the chips are just lining up. And again, this goes back to, it's calculated. Nothing is done without intention from him and his camp, what I've seen. TDE already, he's no longer with TDE, but he still has like heavy ties. And they were already people who everything has to make sense. They're not just letting artists drop music just to drop. Like, everything has to make sense. We believe in artist development over there. So Kendrick is a product of that. And now with him having his own thing with PG Lang and still having those ties, but really moving in his own direction, like really just him as the forefront, yeah, everything makes sense. So I definitely think Kendrick would have gotten picked at some point in these years to come regardless. Would it have necessarily been this year? I don't know. But I know he was going to get picked within the next 6, 7 years. But this whole last year just solidified, like, oh, no. Culturally, it just makes sense. Put Kendrick on that stage right now.
Yeah, and he's going to be on that stage, but a lot of folks are not happy. And I underestimated that people would be this displeased because
I wouldn't have guessed it.
I think in social media, people are going to have their opinions, and we're in a stand culture where, like, if your person isn't picked and they're up in the echelon, people are going to feel away. But I thought that maybe it's like, why isn't it Taylor Swift? But like, people immediately rush. I thought it's about, why isn't that Taylor Swift? Taylor Swift is bringing up the viewership, and don't get me started on that because that's but like, Lil Wayne, right? So people have been bringing up Lil Wayne, and here's what I thought it would be. Now, I know that it's not always, okay, the city that we're in, we're going to pick an artist that matches the city. That is not always a thing. And really, when we look at LA and how they turned up for Los Angeles when the Super Bowl was in Los Angeles, that was a whole new situation. If we really truly look at it, where they got Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg and the crew really representing the West Coast. But I did think that we probably would get Cash Money, Master P, like maybe something like that, probably tied to Lil Wayne or Drake. That's what I sort of thought, because I definitely think that Drake is a Super Bowl artist. And if you listen to certain people, which I'm not going to reference them, they swear, oh, well, Drake turned it down. I cannot say yes or no. I actually sort of believe it. But when Kendrick was announced, I wasn't upset because I know that Kendrick's going to do a good job. But people just, they thought it was egregious that Lil Wayne was not picked because it's New Orleans. So I know you're a Kendrick Lamar fan, but I want to get your take on it. Like, do you think that there's validity to people saying it should have been Lil Wayne and Cash Money and so on? So do you think there's validity to that argument?
Okay, I want to start with this. All right, you got to start with love before you go into what might seem like hate to people. Big Lil Wayne fan, right? Wayne is one of the GOATs, easily. There's no conversation about that. Wayne has pioneered for a lot of people. He has endless classic after classic after classic after hit after hit. There's no argument there. I think at this current point, just where we are in time now, I don't think Wayne is his best self right now to be up, to be up there for a full-fledged, like, production, the biggest production you've ever had in your career. I have not necessarily seen anything from Lil Wayne. Last performance I seen from him was his performance at WrestleMania. And that's not going to be the best of thing. I think it's just a bunch of factors. I don't think Wayne is his best self right now to whatever is going with him. I think that, again, he's a legend, and so you would think at some point put Lil Wayne on that stage. I think he definitely has the hits, the catalog to be able to do a set up there with friends or without friends. Right? I know it'd probably be some friends, whether it's Young Money, Cash Money, or Hot Boys, whatever the case may be. But I just think he's not his best self. I'd seen something where someone from the Grammys talked about working with him and him not showing up to rehearsals, and those kind of organizations, the Grammys, the Super Bowl, the MTV Awards, like once you start getting up to there about who you want to perform, the circle of people gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And so your reputation is really, really important. And so you go up there, you might rub somebody the wrong way over here, and then they might know somebody over there, and that person might call them, yo, what you think about? Oh, nah, he did such and such. Like you, that's why it's always important for your brand, your image, your representation, and your reputation to always be the best that it could be. Yeah, I also think that because it's Black History Month, what Wayne has said about certain things in regards to politics. And again, it's bigger than just who's got the hits to put on that stage. Like it's a bunch of other things. Money, power, respect. This is the power part where it's like it's a bunch of other things that we got to think about when it comes to selecting artists. I get the New Orleans thing, but aside from that, there are a plethora of reasons right now where Wayne probably isn't the best pick, and Kendrick is definitely a better pick.
What's going on, everybody? Randall Barnes with HBCU Pulse here, and I have a question for you. Have you ever found yourself holding back on travel plans because you're afraid of the language gap? Well, no need to mind the gap if you have Babbel. Designed by real people for having real conversations, Babbel gets you talking. So don't pay hundreds of dollars for private tutors or waste hours on apps that don't really help you speak the language. Spend the dollars on plane tickets and the vacation and choose Babbel. Babbel's convenient courses helped me learn real-life conversation skills in a different language. It's easy for me to prep for my next trip abroad. Learning how to ask for directions, how to order food, and speak to merchants without having to consult language apps while I'm on vacation is super priceless. If that sounds good to you, you need to download Babbel. Now I'm gonna give you the hookup right here. Here's a special limited time deal for our listeners. Right now, you can get 60% off your Babbel subscription, but only for HBCU Pulse Radio listeners at Babbel.com. Now I'm gonna give you the hookup right now. Here's a special limited time deal for our listeners. Right now, get up to 60% off your Babbel subscription, but only for our HBCU Pulse Radio listeners at Babbel.com/HBCU. Get up to 60% off at Babbel.com/HBCU, spelled BABBEL.com/HBCU. Rules and restrictions may apply, and tell them Randall sent you. What I'll say about Lil Wayne performing is I was of the hip hop is dead crowd back in the late 2000s. Like my dad is a hip hop fan to the core. He playing LL, he playing Rakim, he playing Kool Moe Dee, he's playing Ice Cube after he left NWA. Like that's a lot of what I grew up on. So when that hip hop is dead situation, these folks can't really rap. Even when I was younger, I'm like elementary school, I'm like, yeah, hip hop is dead. I'm like, yeah, these folks can't really rap for real. But when I got out of that, and I'm like, you know what? I just really enjoy hip hop for what it is, right?
Right.
I really started to respect Lil Wayne's career more and more, especially pre-Carter 4, because he was putting out a lot of really good music. But it's two things when it comes to Lil Wayne. Number one, I think Carter 2 Lil Wayne and Carter 3 and on Lil Wayne are two different people. I think that when you look at the way he carried himself in that Carter 2, the Carter days, I think that the way he rapped, the way he carried himself, all the different things was sort of reminiscent of him trying to really take that throne from Jay-Z as the best rapper alive for real, for real.
Yeah.
But I think that after that, it was some situations that precluded him that made it where he sort of tempered down a little bit. He still was rapping. He still was doing his thing. But I think that things changed for him in a drastic way. So I think that the Lil Wayne, the Carter 4, I think Carter 3, he had hits, but like Carter 4, I'm not even talking about hits, I'm talking about him. I don't know if I would have seen that Lil Wayne on this stage at this point in time when the Super Bowl just had 129 million people watch the halftime with Usher there. But also, and this is not necessarily an original thought, but it's something that I thought about during the conversation. What songs is Lil Wayne gonna really perform at the Super Bowl post 2004 Janet Jackson, Justin Timberlake? Because a lot of Lil Wayne songs are very vulgar and are very dirty, and this ain't the BET Awards. And there's nothing wrong with the BET Awards. And he don't go to the BET Awards, okay? But this ain't the BET Awards. You know what I'm saying? This is the Super Bowl where there are multiple demographics, multiple age groups. They got a Nickelodeon broadcast, okay? So it's a different vibe. So, like, what is Lil Wayne really gonna perform? Because I was shocked at some of the songs that they performed in 2022. I was shocked. Like I just some of the stuff they let fly, but like Lil Wayne be going on a whole different path. And just because it play on the radio as a censored version, don't mean we're gonna perform a milli at the Super Bowl. That it doesn't mean Lollipop is gonna be performed at Super Bowl. That was really my thing. Is like, I don't see how Lil Wayne he's a big artist, people know him, but what song is he really gonna perform that's not gonna have folks call in the FCC and say what's going on here?
I mean, I think Wayne has a big enough catalog to where maybe off rip when just thinking about Lil Wayne and how he comes across and just when you just think of, I guess, the totality of his music. Yes, a lot of it is vulgar, and you're probably not just gonna put that, in front of these good white folks, in front of these millions of beer moms and beer dads who with their kids, and probably not gonna play a lot of it off rip. But I think especially when you get into features, and more than likely to me, I know it'd be probably some friends that he would bring out on that stage to where it's just not. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure somebody might get a song or something off. I don't know. Now, I'm also forgetting I'm forgetting a lot of Wayne discography, but I'm sure if you go through, you could find. It's just I was never even talking about the music. Everything else, when you add to it, your representation amongst these organizations, your representation in media, your performances, aside from New Orleans thing, all this stuff comes into play. And who knows, it might even be a thing of you affiliated with Drake ain't in our best likes right now. Maybe if you come on the stage, you probably try to bring him out, but we don't want Drake because we rocking with Kendrick. Like, it could be a slew of things. It's not just because he's from New Orleans or he has to be on that stage. It's a bunch of other things at play, I think. But I think he definitely has a catalog. If you sit down and think about it, I'm sure you can find at least 13 minutes worth of stuff to put him on that stage. But as we clearly see, it ain't gonna happen for next year.
In my thought process, he got to bring out a lot of friends. We got to figure out how many people are friends with Lil Wayne, because like some of them songs.
Go ahead, bring your whole family, bring the class, the kids down the block.
Like, bring the whole hip hop. Do a 50 years of hip hop special, because some of the stuff. I'm just thinking through Lil Wayne discography. I mean, like, go DJ, like maybe like
Mrs. Officer.
No, we can't do that. We got to do Miss Officer in 2024. You saw him with Tyreek Hill? No, we can't do Miss Officer. Come on. You feel me? Like, come on. Nah. And then Colin Kaepernick, you can't do Miss Officer. Name a song, and I'll knock it. Name a song.
All right, okay. 6 foot, 7 foot.
Yeah, okay, that can go depending on what's being said.
For his verse on Forever.
That for sure. That for sure.
Okay, so what's that? 6 foot, 7 foot, his verse on Forever. I think a milli could get off.
It depends. It's gonna be 5 seconds of a milli.
He's definitely gonna have, because I can't name a song where there's no like vulgar cussing in it from.
That's what I'm saying.
So,
you see what I'm saying?
But I mean, it's not like every artist they pick. Kendrick definitely has a lot of cussing and vulgarity and stuff. But
think about it, some of them he don't. Some of them he don't. You feel me? Yeah, you know.
Some he doesn't, but I won't say that a good portion of his music doesn't. Like it does. So it's just a matter of the artist and some of the songs we really want to hear. I'm sure he's gonna do Humble, Kendrick, but he gotta change some of that. You know what I mean? So I know if Weezy was to be selected, he would know that he has to change some of the lyrics. But yeah,
he can't even remember the lyrics though. That's the thing. He don't change
that. That is and this is why I was talking about your performances. Like, this is why as an artist, you should never just treat the small show like it's just any show. You got to treat every show like you're putting on the performance of your life, because you never know who's watching. You never know how you doing this can to have you go down road A or road B. Like, you always got to treat every single thing you do, whether an interview, whether a presentation, whether a meet and greet, whether a listening party, a concert, like every single thing matters. It all is a part of your track record, because as soon as you put some kind of chink in your armor in some way and an opportunity like this comes around, if your pros don't outweigh your cons, then we're gonna go by your cons and you won't be selected for things like this. So I don't know. I definitely thought that with Miss Officer. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, like you can't do because you got a league that Colin Kaepernick still ain't playing, and then you got what happened to Tyreek Hill, which is incredibly unfortunate. So it's like we can't do a song about him sexualizing a female police officer or woman police officer. You know what I'm saying? Like you gotta look, because see you be rapping, you be doing poetry. Look through them lyrics. Like Rodney King, baby, and I beat her like a cop. Come on, like, you know what I'm saying? You feel me? Like, come on. So,
hey, cut his mic off. Go ahead, just cut the music.
They would go to a Super Bowl commercial so quickly.
We'll be right back after this.
and then our MC like, that is the conclusion of the album music halftime show. They not playing with what, but this is my thing, because it's like I went into it like this because the history that Kendrick is doing is, right. Do I want Lil Wayne to represent hip hop as the first like solo hip hop act headlining the Super Bowl? And the answer is an emphatic no.
You know, when you go in like text and you can like emphasize a message, or when you send it with the slam effect, it's not just no, it's slam effect no.
Like you are not, like, I'm not sending Lil Wayne out to represent this culture. Like,
during Black History Month.
Black History Month. No.
Yeah, I don't know if Martin and Malcolm and Rosa and Thurgood want to. Nah, go ahead.
They know.
Go sing Kung Fu Kenny.
Because just Lil Wayne is a great artist. Like I was outside like when his songs were out and all them and stuff, and I think that a lot of his career ascension got messed up because of the business. Because even like I was at Fort Valley when Carter 5 came out. Like Carter 5 came out 2018. If you listen to Carter 5, those are songs that were supposed to come out in 2013. You can just tell that's 2013, 2014 Lil Wayne. Like, not all of those songs, because they clearly changed. You got XXX and Tatiana on that song. You got a couple other artists that were sort of newer for that time.
It felt dated.
Yeah, it felt very much so like this was a 2013 album that you were like legally, like that it was legally hitting, and then now I'm able to finally release it. So like it's just like I feel sorry for how his career went, because I feel as if the pinnacle of what Lil Wayne could have been as an artist, it was realized, but I think he could have been even bigger. But I think that ultimately, if Lil Wayne was on that stage, I still think he could be on that stage. I think Kendrick brings him out, but I think that it would have always been Drake. Drake is your Super Bowl artist. Like I think that there are artists that are legends, but then there are artists that are going to perform at the Super Bowl. And I think that it is a handful. Like T.I. it was one of my favorite rappers. He was my favorite rapper for a minute. T.I. is not performing at the Super Bowl as a headliner. Someone will bring him out, but he's not performing as a headliner. Jeezy, who's one of my favorite rappers, he's not performing as a headliner, but Kendrick is. I think Eminem could have. It's just some of his subject matter in his songs. I think, but so that because of that, I think Eminem came out with Dre. Like I think that when you look at it, it's just it's the status of who this is, and this has never happened. As they've done this halftime show since the 1990s, there's not been a hip hop artist that has headlined it. So I just think that we gotta choose the right person, and we did. And I just need the stands to stop. Okay.
I think, and it's funny you say, we are, especially with, since Jay-Z has now been a part of working with the NFL, us having culturally relevant headliners is only a recent thing. Before then, you was getting your Guns N' Roses, or you was getting your Katy Perry, maybe a Taylor Swift like act. Like us being able to have culturally relevant artists on the stage as a headliner is a recent thing. So yeah, when the news comes that Kendrick is performing, I'm just glad that, again, very first rapper to headline the Super Bowl is coming. And then the fact that it's met with so much backlash as to why Kendrick, it's like, this really isn't the time, I don't think, to do that. But also, again, to maybe the Super Bowl, their marketing team, while this probably isn't what they're expecting and they may not be the fondest of it, all of this is still publicity around the Super Bowl. And folks are still going to, there's not a soul not watching it because Kendrick is now performing. Unless you're just racist. You're just racist. I mean, that's something different if you just don't like black people. But even then, I'm sure you would watch the Super Bowl and then just not look at the halftime. No one is really turning off the show because Kendrick is there. So I think it just adds more to the pot for them. I think all this just like, okay, there are so many people who now are upset that Kendrick is performing. Now, we were already going to give a great show, an A+ show. Now we're going to give you an A+++ show to show you why I'm the king of hip hop and why I love Wayne, respect Wayne, but why I do deserve to have this opportunity to headline a Super Bowl at halftime.
Exactly. And yeah, I think, but I do think that for some of the folks, because I wonder how Kendrick Lamar is going to go, because you got to remember his Grammy performance. Remember the Grammy performance he did? Well, like he came out, he was chained up. Is Kendrick going to do that? Or is he really going to do like a Super Bowl show? Because I could see Kendrick coming out and exposing the people to white supremacy. Okay, like just exposing it.
I wouldn't be surprised if he puts like I was talking about this on my podcast. I would love to hear like King Kunta or like Hood Politics on that.
And when the King Kunta beat comes on, MC like, we'll be right back after this commercial break.
I got a bone to pick. I was on my phone again. Right? Again, as an artist that may have vulgar lyrics, you're gonna have to change your content, change some words up to perform songs, anyways. But I wouldn't be surprised if there's a certain kind of moment of maybe not all the way like full-fledged, be walking in chains, but something that shows that I'm black. It's Black History Month, and I'm in solidarity with my people. Whenever, wherever, like I'm black, and that is something I'm proud of. Like just because it may be a moment of celebrating my blackness, and that doesn't necessarily have to equate to like hating someone. Like no, I'm just proud to be who I am, and I'm on a stage here to show you that and celebrate that, and to let you know of some of the problems that my people encounter. Because stuff like that, it's not like it's necessarily like, oh, it's just a thing to only be focused on this community. Like, no, anyone being mistreated in this country, that's an issue for everyone to be discussing. That's an American issue. It's not just a black issue. Because we are here in America, that should be an American issue. So yeah, things like that, I wouldn't necessarily think that if he wants to get into that kind of subject matter, it would be banned or against. Do I think it's probably said amongst folks to be mindful of what you say? But the end of the day, when you booking Kendrick Lamar, you getting Kendrick Lamar. You know what you're signing up for. The people who are making these decisions, they know what his performances look like. They've seen him coming out in chains, so they understand. But there's also people that know what's going to be on that stage and know that stuff like that is going to sell. Because you're going to have us as Black Americans who are tuning in and standing with that. And so long as their ratings are going up and the ad dollars are filling up their pockets, at the end of the day, green is the only kind of money, the only kind of color that a lot of people see, especially when you get high up there in those kind of positions.
So let me ask you a couple questions. We're going to do the HBC bands we would think perform, but before that, I got to ask you this. Do you think that Kendrick needs to perform Not Like Us, or he probably be able to perform the whole thing because of what he's saying, but do you think that he should perform a melody, like maybe the beat comes on, he does They Not Like Us for a little second or something like that? Or do you think that he can just be Kendrick Lamar without the beef and just perform, because the act of him performing at the Super Bowl as the first rapper who headlined the Super Bowl halftime show is a win alone in the beef?
I think he can do his set without Not Like Us. That I'm positive for. But thinking from an artist perspective, and again, especially with the kind of year it's been, because Not Like Us, when it comes on, yes, it was released as a Drake diss. But especially after the video shoot and after the concert, the Amazon Prime concert, especially that concert, it really showed just the greatness of him and LA and just the entire culture that LA brings. It didn't necessarily feel like this is a whole stomping on Drake's head kind of show. So I think when Not Like Us comes on, especially with the production value that'll go into it, it won't necessarily have to feel like this song is about dissing him in that moment. We get what the content is. We know why it was created. So we understand where it came from. It came as a diss. But it can still be performed, and the aura, the energy around the production when the song's performed can still feel like it's just celebrating LA culture. It's just having a good time. It's just celebrating who Kendrick Lamar is. It's just celebrating Black excellence. But yeah, I think he can perform his set without the song, but that song is going to come on. Whether it's the very first song or the very last song, that song is coming on at some point.
And you know what's so funny that I just thought about in my head as you were talking is, you know how when they were doing Usher and it was on CBS, they had the the dun 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 like doing the promos. They are so gonna do Kendrick Lamar Not Like Us in the promos, like Super Halftime Show, Halftime Show, Kendrick Lamar. They're gonna do Not Like Us in the background. I already know they are. Like because I can't think of any other song. Like there are tough beats that Kendrick has, but they're gonna do Not Like Us in those commercials. It's gonna be so funny.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's again, that song is just, again, this goes back to Kendrick being calculated and just knowing what he's doing. That song is so just, it's infectious. Like it's infectious. It puts you again in a certain moment in time, and when the energy it comes on, you can't help but just be with your folks. Must is on the beat, yo. Yeah. Like it's just an infectious, energetic song. So if I'm marketing, I'm 100% using some kind of Not Like Us lyric, or sometimes you gotta pop out and win championships. Something they're gonna do to reference the song. Something they're gonna do.
Sometimes you gotta pop out and win championships.
Yeah,
they're gonna have that on the Nickelodeon version. I tell you that much. They're gonna pop out and win championships. they're gonna have SpongeBob say that on the broadcast.
I have seen some Not Like Us remixes, and it's this one. It's like for kids. He was like,
I saw that.
You gotta pop out and show children. No. I was like, you gotta pop out and show children. Show children, man.
So let me ask you this here, right? So we have all these HBC bands that are performing Not Like Us, doing an amazing job doing it, by the way. And Joe Budden was right, but I mean, common sense, Joe Budden. Like, common sense. It's like, it's HBC band. It is HBC bands. Of course they're going to play it. So, like, what HBCU band, let's say Kendrick did Not Like Us, and it was only like an instrumental. He can't perform the lyrics. Which HBCU band do you think he should bring out? And you could like don't say Bowie's band, okay? Say another band.
I mean, I would hope he would bring a band. I would hope he bring a band from a school that doesn't get as much recognition. Because what I've seen sometimes is, while I'm always appreciative that anybody decides to put HBCU culture to the forefront and really show them, I would love maybe someone like I don't know, there's so many, like AMU or maybe a Delaware State or just somewhere to where it's putting a light on a school that doesn't get the light as much for what they do, especially with their band. Can't name a bunch off the top, but yeah, I just would like a school that doesn't, get as much love and attention to it. Because then again, it's adding more to it. Like, not only did he bring out an HBCU band, but he gave a school that usually doesn't get any kind of platform or big notable donation from a celebrity or like something of that ilk for me.
Listen, I think that's very noble. Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna lie.
This family right here, they got it. This Bell House.
Well, I wouldn't be sending Morehouse's band. God bless them. I would not be sending Morehouse's band. But but God bless them. Listen, they sound good. But listen, so in 2007, Prince performed. And I personally believe that Prince's halftime performance was the best one of all time out of everybody, including Usher's, right? And of course, Michael Jackson was the first person that performed. I just think Prince in 2007, that was the best one. And it was the best one because it was just the artistry of Prince and Purple Rain. It started raining. It was like an amazing performance. And FAMU had the opportunity to be a part of that performance. And that Super Bowl was held in Miami, Florida. You have FAMU, they're in Tallahassee. So that's like, hey, you're bringing in a band from the state, an HBCU band from the state to perform. Okay, so I want to set it up, putting up with alley-oop, okay? It needs to be Southern or Grambling. It needs to be Southern or Grambling, and I will lean towards Southern because Grambling did a rendition of Not Like Us as well, and I thought they did a good job. But I know, because we can bring in a new band. I'm perfectly fine with that. But I know what Southern's going to do. Yeah. When they get in there and it's time to perform, because he can't say none of the words except they're not like us. So I need for Southern to carry what he's doing. Because he can't say none of the lyrics. So Southern is going to really care what's going on.
Actually, and to even add to that, that would shut up a lot of people's points about because Lil Wayne's from New Orleans. It's like, well, no, Kendrick may not be from New Orleans, but he just brought out Grambling or Southern to hold it down here. So that does make sense. That does make sense. But you're leaning more towards Southern. So I'm gonna be opposite and just go more towards Grambling, just to be combative. You want Southern, I want Grambling, but either way, again, just if he does, and I'm sure, I'm positive, almost positive that he would definitely have a HBCU band to come play that intro or just play throughout the song when Not Like Us comes on. I'm sure, I believe that would be on that stage because it almost makes sense to.
But MC, where can we find you on social media?
Listen, man, I appreciate you, Randall. Folks, y'all can follow me on all social media at I Am Project MC. That's IAM Project MC on all social medias. Follow me. I'm not a super social celebrity. I follow back. I'm a nice guy. I'll follow you back. It maybe not in 24 hours, but I'll get to it.
Like what you hear?
Yeah.
Subscribe to HBCU Pulse Radio on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Also, head to HBCUPulse.com to stay up to date on what's going on in the HBCU community. Thank you for listening to HBCU Pulse Radio.